Today we're looking at the Pythagorean theorem quiz that was in Schoology the other day. Pythagorean theorem deals with right triangles, and in any right triangle, the longest side is across from the right angle. We usually label that side C. That is my hypotenuse. C is the longest side. And the Pythagorean theorem states that if I take the other two sides, which I can label those legs as A and B, then A squared plus B squared will equal my C squared. So if I know I have a right triangle and I have any two sides given, I can always find the third side. So one of the things you need to consider when you're looking at Pythagorean theorem problems is, what are you looking for? Do you need to find C? Or do you have C? So those are the two things you're trying to figure out in order to set up your problem. Remember that these are all triangles, and in any triangle, you know that the length of the small side plus the medium side together has to be bigger than the biggest side C is by itself. So you'll be able to eliminate some answer choices because A plus B is bigger than C for any triangle. So we're going to take a look at a couple of the problems on this side of the page. If I look at question number 1, it says a studio sets a stage as shown. The table is 6 feet from the chair. Table to chair. The lamp is 1 3/4 feet from the chair. I would probably want to change that fraction into a decimal. I know 3/4 is 0.75, so I know that that number is 1.75. The question is, how far is the table from the lamp? So I'm looking at the table from the lamp. That's what I'm looking for. I want to identify, is that the longest side? Do I have it? Do I need it? And I know that that's across from my right angle. That is my hypotenuse. That is my C. So when I'm setting up this problem, I'm going to set up my A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And if I substitute in the values I have 6 squared plus 1.75 squared equals the x squared that I want to have. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator. Six squared plus 1.75 squared gives me 39.0625. Equals my x squared. I need to take the square root of that number to equal the value of x. So in my calculator, take my square root, 39.0625, gives me 6.25. If I look at my answer choices, again, I've got some fraction answer choices there. 6 1/4 is 6.25. 7 3/4 is 7.75. 7 1/4 is 7.25. 8 feet, definitely too big. I'm looking for 6.25. Gives me my answer choice A. If I look at question number 2, an algebra teacher is using a geoboard with her students. She puts the rubber band on the geoboard as shown. This represents a right triangle whose short sides are 3 units and 1 unit. How long is the longest side? So if I'm counting along this right triangle, I've got 1, 2, 3 units here, 1 unit here. I'm looking for my x. Since I'm looking for my longest side, I need C. you can work this problem just like problem number 1. If you look at your answer choices, you've got 1 and 3, and you're looking for the longest side. You know 1 plus 3 has to be bigger than the biggest side is by itself. So it definitely cannot be 10 for an answer. 10 is way too big. Since x is the biggest side of your problem, it's got to be bigger than the 1 and bigger than the 3. So you'll know you can eliminate answer choice D also. It's either going to be the square root of 12 or the square root of 10, but you can work it out like problem number 1. If you look at problem number 3, we've got city X is 15 kilometers due north of city Y. City Z is 36 kilometers due east of city Y. And what is the straight line distance from X to city Z? You're looking for your hypotenuse. So again, this problem is going to be just like problem number 1. You're going to be doing your a squared plus b squared to equal your c squared. I want to look at problem number 4 with you because it's a little bit different. Problem number 4 says that we've got a surveyor determined that the distance between the dock and the tower, he wants to know what's the closest estimate of that distance. So we're looking for the length across this lake from the dock to the tower. Notice that I have my hypotenuse is 2. So I know I have to have a number smaller than 2. I have C. I need a smaller number. Just knowing that 2 is the biggest number in this problem means I can eliminate answer choice A and answer choice C. I can't have 9 miles. I can't have 3 miles. I have to have a number that's smaller than 2 miles. I look at my Pythagorean theorem, and I've got my A squared plus my B squared equals my C squared, and notice that I do have C. So if I substitute in what I have, I'm looking for this value of x. I have 1 squared plus x squared equals 2 squared. 1 squared is just 1 plus x squared. 2 squared is just 4. I subtract the 1 from each side of my equation. I get x squared is 4 minus 1, which is 3. And to find my x, I take the square root of 3. And again, I know it's going to be a number smaller than 2, but I don't know, is it 1.3 or 1.7? That's not something that I know off the top of my head, so I'm going to go ahead and take that in my calculator. Second square root 3, and my answer is 1.73, about 1.73. It's a reasonable answer because it is smaller than number 2. If I look at question number 5, it's a little bit different in that they want me to find the perimeter of the rectangle. So I'm trying to add all the outside edges of my rectangle together. I know if I have a 9 on one side of the rectangle, I have a 9 on the other side of the rectangle. So already I know I have a 9 plus 9. I'm going to get a number that's bigger than 12. So don't use that as a question, as a response to the question. In order to find the perimeter, I need to find what is the top length and the bottom length of this rectangle. I have a right triangle. If I'm just considering this part of my problem, I have my hypotenuse. So I need to find a smaller number to find out what this length is for x and x. And then I'll have to actually use that to answer the question of what is the perimeter. So again, if I'm using my Pythagorean theorem, I have 9 squared plus x squared equals 15 squared. Nine squared is 81, and 15 squared is 225. So 81 plus x squared equals 225. I need to subtract the 81 from each side. That'll give me x squared equals 144. And to find x, I take the square root of 144, which is 12. Notice that 12 is what the value of x is. It's not the answer to my question. We've already eliminated that as an answer to the question. To find the perimeter, I'm going to add all the outside edges together. The 9 plus the 12 plus the 9 plus the 12. And that'll give me 42 for my perimeter. Question number 6. I have a 17-foot ladder, leans up against a wall. The base of the ladder is 8 feet from the wall, and they want to know how high up the wall is the ladder. There's my x. Notice that I have the hypotenuse. I'm looking for another side of this problem. So this problem you'll work out just like number 4. You want to end up with a number that's smaller than 17. Your answer choices are all smaller than 17. So you'll have to work out the problem just like you did for problem number 4.